We are live on the
Blog
air.
Talk Radio.
Here we go, live on
I'm
the
tired
air.
of this pandemic. There's no, man, I'm not wearing any masks. I'll put on a monster mask before I put on a mask. I'm tired of this pandemic. There's no, man, I'm not wearing any masks. I'll put on a monster mask before I put on a mask.
Well, welcome to another show. We're broadcasting live again. The title of this topic on the show is going to be Unbitter Ourselves. In the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of observing just people and in relation to different situations that I've been in. And car broke down the other day on the freeway, and very interesting experience. Totally sucks whenever you're in that kind of a thing, but the bitterness that's out there in people is just amazing, and even just in the driving. So tonight we're going to try to figure out if there's any way that being bitter and having bitterness could be a major part of the equation in all this deception and self-doubt and just all these things that are going on. There's been a lot of things in the last few days that have been pretty heavy. We'll cover a few of those. We're going to do a media zone tonight. We're going to try to cover some of the things that are going on in the media. I don't like going there, but we got to. There's some things that are being said that are so stupid and just ignorant that you compare it to the overactive media in the last few years compared to it now. It's just an amazing thing, and how some of the things that are being said are just so blasé and not a big deal. Hopefully we'll get to that and have that work out. Feeling confused by the controlled narrative is the meanest, cruelest, most evil act of predetermined behavior ever witnessed to destroy your soul. Not worry about my soul. This is against your soul. This controlled narrative is way beyond normal. It has gotten to the point where one of my videos was taken down off of YouTube after being on there for 6 years. Why? Why would you leave it on there for 6 years and then all of a sudden in the last 3 weeks take a video down, make sure you let me know about it? It's not that you took down the content that you didn't like. You took the whole thing down and sent me the little letter that you see all over the place. Oh, you have been, blah, 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 blah. And there was nothing on that video that wasn't the truth. And when it was involved in what might be considered the conspiracy side of things, I mentioned every time that this is information that's coming from the so-called conspiracy theorists, but we're going to lay it out there anyway, timeline on it, like you make a decision based on what you're hearing, not what you're being told to hear, not what you're being told to listen to and to see and everything else. It's all controlled narrative, everything, all of it. And up until just recently, I think even the uncontrolled narrative was controlled. Even the places that we thought had freedom of speech didn't have freedom of speech all along, and that was all controlled narrative too, and that all follows the money. If you follow the money, you can see the controlled narrative. And those that are afraid to open up and say the truth are following that narrative because of what? The money. And I think that there's a lot of bitterness towards everything. There isn't a topic that isn't left out. And from my experiences with bitterness, it definitely is a hindrance to any forward progress. You can kind of maintain, but you're not going to really excel going forward. And for me, not doing that sucks. I can't stand not getting things done and being stuck in a mental dilemma or whatever it is that happens. So we're going to address that in a sense from, could the media even be causing the bitterness? The website is live now. It's really in, not bad shape, but there's not much there. But I did launched the website, the ChristianComforter.com. That is live now. You can go there. This will be there on the rebroadcast page, just as we've done in every other ministry that we do. But the problem that we have nowadays is, can you say Jesus Christ? I think I hear Christ, and I think I hear Jesus, or Jesus, but Jesus Christ. And when we don't say them together, we leave ourselves opened up for the other attack that comes to us when we don't say them together. Like, that doesn't happen. Well, how do you know? How do you know? I don't know anything. I can't prove anything. I can't say for certainty. I can only tell you my experience, my opinion, and what the knowledge of my experiences has brought me. And I can also reveal maybe what I would consider some truths. We like to follow a path down genuine truth and simple facts. All this crap that's going on, the noise that's going on, what's the truth? What's the fact? It gets pretty clouded up. And I think the one thing that does uncloud it is Jesus Christ. Just even saying those two words makes people gnaw their teeth and grind their nails or scratch their nails or just kind of, curl their lip or whatever. Those are the two most powerful words in mankind, period. Well, yeah, but that's the new modern way. It's got to be Yahawana, Wuna, Wina, Wana, Wuna, Wana. That's the name we have to call God, Yawana, Wana, whatever. Well, we're going to go to the modern times of 2021, and we're going to get real woke with all this stuff that's going on, and we're going to use those two words, Jesus Christ. Those are the two words that we've been given to use. Everybody knows when you say those words what they mean, who it is. And that's what makes people so angry and pissed off and bitter. They don't like being told that Jesus Christ is kind of the answer. Well, Todd, there's vast universe, there's vast planets, and how can you say that that's it? Well, there are some things that we're apparently not supposed to understand or know. Not all knowledge is supposed to be granted and wisdom given to everybody about everything in every place in the corner of the earth, of every mind. Every molecule that's in the universe. Where does the universe end? Well, if God is all God and almighty, and that's what he is, then, it's his universe. He can pretty much do as he pleases, and that's what makes you all bitter and pissed off too, is because you don't like God telling you what he is and what he can do and what you should do and what you need to do. That's the bottom line. You don't like being told what to do, especially by God. What is that? Some guy at the desk sitting up in the cloud, pencil and paper and a clipboard? The fact is, do you even want to say Jesus Christ? Is that something that you even have the desire to say? And if you don't, it could be for a lot of reasons. You could be afraid to. You could be one that thinks, your life will change dramatically because you're saying those two words. Well, it doesn't. And when you talk about words, there are words that have power, and there's words that have healing, and there's words that have death. It's amazing how we can do both with the words that we speak. And I've even been told that that's what I have been doing, killing people and healing people. Kind of an amazing spectrum of word healing there, I guess. But if we go to words of wisdom, we see and we read, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. And that's a misused Bible verse all the time. Lord will keep us safe. Well, how come then, there's always danger, and how come people get killed, and how come Christians do that? That's one of those lines that you just need to look at by faith. If you want to dive into all these little piddly arguments, we can, because as much as God takes care of all the big things that you go to him in prayer for, he takes care of the little piddly, minuscule, insignificant things too. We just forget to ask because we don't think that he's concerned. And for those of you that want me to say she as the proper pronoun for God, I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not pretending because you feel like a girl, but you have a penis, that I'm supposed to pretend that I am looking at a girl. No, I'm looking at a boy who wants to identify as a girl. Great. That's what you want to do. But I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not pretending that God isn't almighty and that he has the authority. And for us to think that we should be saying she because God and being equal, then you don't know Scripture and you don't know God and you don't want to know God. unfortunately, I didn't create the mathematical equation of human existence where it says that, man was created and then woman came to be what? Comforting to the man. Duh. I mean, that's the way it is. That's why ultimately women have the superiority over man, because they are more spiritual. They are given the right to give birth. Us little Neanderthal knuckle dragging guys, I mean, it's just, we were created in God's image, and then God brought us woman to be companion with man. And how that's gone all out of craziness, to what it is now, well, we're not going to pretend anymore that that's not the mathematical equation of human existence, that there are two, count them, 1, 2 genders. Now, you want to talk sex and you want to talk identity, you can go anywhere you want to go, okay? But if you have one of these that kind of hangs down, you're a guy. If you have the kind of circle thing with a line maybe there, a little button, the way it is. And you don't like that mathematical equation that God has created, well, talk to God, not me. I didn't make it. I just follow it the best I can. We put some guidelines together. We try to follow that we can keep a pace of understanding in this madness that's going on. This world is absolutely the upside-down smiley emoji. The guideline we're going to use today is number 3. It says, understand and accept that this is a spiritual battle for your soul. See, the media that's controlled narrative to you, telling you what you should hear and what you should think and what you should see, and that you're not seeing what you're seeing and you're not hearing what you're hearing. You're only hearing what they're saying you're hearing, and they're only seeing what they're saying you're seeing. So that's a spiritual battle. We have to get past this visual eyeball stuff that we see and the ear thing that we hear from people saying and doing things so that we can see this vision. This is a spiritual battle. The outwardly stuff that we see are just the distractions meant to take the focus off the eye of the ball. And what's the ball? Jesus Christ. Why would we want to even think about Jesus Christ amongst this craziness that's going on? He's not going to do anything anyway, right? Right. Okay, wrong. We're going to do a little footnote here. We have a footnote that we add in our programs, and this one's pretty cool. And I like this one a lot. And this one is really part of the unbitter ourselves, which is the topic of the show today. And this one says, it's number 18, practice listening for the Jesus Christ quiet rhythm. There was a guy I listened to today that just happened to mention that he had taken a break and gone out and just turned everything off, all the media off, brought his Bible, started reading a little scripture, had a couple newspapers, just kind of took time to disconnect from the electrified media. Maybe back to the old school, read a newspaper, that kind of thing, went back into scripture, and was totally refreshed. Well, what he was doing actually was he was listening for the Jesus Christ quiet rhythm that goes on when you are mathematically correct and in the equation of looking for and seeking and listening and receiving God. And just the fact that this huge thing called God, manifested a human like we are and brought him down in front of us to say, okay, this is what you need to do to get where you want to go to. Well, I don't want to do it that way. Okay, that's your personal, aren't you glad God gave you that freedom to not choose that path if you don't want it? But we want to go down the genuine truth path and the simple fact path, not all this hysteria and complicated. The enemy loves things more complicated than what they really are. It's pretty actually simple math, spiritual math. It's pretty simple. It really is. Because you can't break God's mathematical equations. You can try, but you won't get there. We have a program that we like to do when we call this a ministry. It's an added thing where like a ministry would just go along kind of, okay, this is what you can do, this is how you do it. We actually put it in print, that you can actually go and read it. And it's divided up in day 1, day 2. It doesn't really matter technically that they are listed in days, but what we found is that if we stay mathematically correct in this journey, for some reason, the power has been given for that discipline. Not to cheat and go ahead, but to stay true on the day that you're on. And this is a 75-day comfort program. Come along with me for 75 days if you're in distress, and I guarantee you, I promise you, if you come and do this, you will find comfort, and you will find understanding, and you will find a way to deal with all the pandemonium that's going on. In day one, it's just a real simple thing. We want to grow, so we're going to begin to grow. Kind of close your eyes and paint a picture of canvassing the madness, the opposite of that. You can close your eyes and visualize that really easy. Well, let's look at the opposite. What's the opposite of that? When I stay at the beach, cruise on a motorcycle, well, what's the opposite of the madness? And right now, the fruit of the Spirit is bitter. Not bitter for me, but bitter to the world. It's rotted. It's spoiled. The fruit of the Spirit hasn't even been executed in any form in the media at all. None. And that ought to give you a clear sign right there of what's happening. But there is a breathing exercise that we can do to get rid of the junk. And so what we do is we take a deep breath in as far as we can go into our lungs, and then try to expand our diaphragm, and then try to expand our nose. Every part of you take as much air as you can. Hold it for 10 seconds or before you think you'll pass out, and then let it out really, 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 really slow, really slow. It's not easy to do. And once you do that, it's an amazing thing that it does to slow you down and get you kind of grounded. I have seen that take rage, murderous rage, murder, like ready to kill, down into an angry rage. And then from there, it went down into anger. And then it was at least able to be dealt with from that point on. Now, I don't know what went on from that point going forward years, but I know that that moment, this is what I was able to get him to do. And he was out of his mind, ready to kill. This feeling that it's going to be very important, it's going to be something that you're going to look back to throughout this guide, and maybe even forever, hopefully. But the insane madness towards Jesus Christ is insane. And this is one of the techniques that we can do to stop the madness going against Jesus Christ, because that's what's happening right now. Everything is against Jesus Christ, and even being called a Christian. Now, I'm a Christian because I believe in the Jesus Christ story, not because you want to categorize me into a Bible action or something. I don't know. But I don't know anywhere where it says that, you're a Christian, this is what you are, blah, 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 blah. I'm a Christian because I believe in the Jesus Christ story. As crazy as it is, I happen to believe in it. So we're going to repeat this kind of exercise, breathing thing, as long and as often as necessary to keep fresh Jesus Christ-filled air coming in, so we can let the bad Lucifer lie contaminated air out. It's just an exercise to try to do that. And it does work. Try it. I welcome you. We do a scripture with that day so that you can kind of understand how we're doing this. It's from Corinthians. It says, brothers and sisters, I could not address you as people who live by spirit, but as people who are still worldly, mere infants in Christ. See, in the Bible, you can read and use the word Christ, and you can read and use the word Jesus. But in the world, we have to say, well, we don't have to, right? Okay. I think we should say them together, because that's where the power is, outside of the Bible. I gave you milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for it. Indeed, you still are not ready. How long does it take before we're ready for solid food? I don't know. I have no idea. It'll happen when it happens. You'll know when you know. There isn't any other way around it. We do kind of a silly thing at the end of each kind of program note day kind of thing, and it says a quip of the day, and it says, dear God, please help me become the person that my dog thinks I am. My dog thinks I'm pretty cool, so my dog is spoiled. My dog is a great dog. Stella. From Sandy to Stella. We have the no religion going on here. No mask, no vaccine. How about the true no other religion, no other God? How many gods do you want to put in line for yourself today? 10, 12, 3, 1? How many? Well, God, could be all kinds of gods, Todd. Yeah, Todd. There could be all kinds of Todd. Yeah, I have a good name to rhyme with God, So, God, Todd. But we have no mask, no vaccines, no other gods. There's a million other no's. No, I'm not going to listen to the media. No, I don't believe when they tell me things. No, I don't believe that we're going into a worse pandemic than we had before. I don't believe it. You get to prove to me that they're not lies. How about some do's and some don'ts? Like, what do you mean, Todd? How about a do? Do turn from evil. Those are instructions right out of Scripture. Do turn from evil. You can also turn from a fool. If you don't like the fool in your life, turn from him. Go away. How about a don't? Okay, ready? Don't believe falsehoods. Duh, Todd. Duh, God, Todd. If it's falsehood, I shouldn't believe it. Yeah, well, the reason that it says falsehoods is because right now it's very difficult to tell what's truth and what's false. It isn't if you're not caught up into the bitterness. Bitterness blocks truth, completely clogs it up, totally almost eliminates it. It's kind of like the difference between merciless and merciful. Aren't you glad we have a merciful God? Aren't you glad that we have a God that looks at us and goes, yeah, you guys are chumps, you're going to screw up, and I'll have some mercy on you? Well, people don't call that mercy that don't like God. They call that evil because why would God be bad to somebody if God loves everybody? Well, God has rules. God has, sovereignty things, and he wants you to be a certain way. He wants you to recognize and have faith and trust that this crazy story about God and Jesus, virgin birth, it's insane. But, I don't want to be wrong, and the story is very believable, and there are facts that have, simple facts that have backed up that story. And there are also genuine truths, too. See? That's what we try to go to. So I'm going to head over to this area here where I'm going to go down the hall. I'm going to bring Randy on the show here in a minute. And let's see if I can find, let's try that one right there. So we're going to go down the hall, out the window, the really bad mattress, onto the box spring, hit the springs, go through the second story window, down the set of stairs, out into the wide open world, and go to what? Let's go to the media zone, the Christ media zone. How about that? Here we go. So last week I didn't get the volume on this right. So I'm going to bring Randy on. Hello, sir.
Hi there.
How's the volume on the track zone? What's up a little loud?
Perfect.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I can hear you so far, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me bring that down. I'm just going to trust me. I'd rather it be too soft. So anyway, you were talking a while back, maybe last week or, I don't know, one of the times that we were talking, and you had said that you had heard some things on the media that kind of pissed you off. I know I'm putting you on the spot. You might not be able to remember, but let me give you an example. The press secretary the other day said something to the effect about all this Afghanistan stuff going on, and she said, quote, this is a quote, exactly verbatim. If you want to leave, I just found that really cold and callous. We will be here to help you. Cold and callous. The leader of the free world said last week, when asked about the first group of deaths, the 13, I believe, soldiers that were fighting, lost their lives, and he was asked about them, and this is what he said. He said, well, that was 4 days ago. So in other words, we're done talking about them now. They're dead, so let's move on. Almost like the Hillary Clinton comment where she said, what does it matter now? I mean, they're dead, right? She didn't say they're dead, but that's what she was going after. So what has caught your ear? Anything lately, Randy?
Well, no, I'm still on my media blackout of the past 7 months now, but
Yeah. Wow.
it does not surprise me. I know she's famous for, the press secretary is famous for her gaffes. I do know that she loves to say, well, let's circle back around to that.
Circle back around, yeah. I mean, I have some respect for that. If you don't have the answer, I'd rather have you say that, but she's not really saying that there, but I mean, it's close, but not quite, How about this big thing that's going on, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I've seen a lot of articles just today, I was looking this up, about this huge celebration for the giant Jesus statue over there in Brazil, that huge thing. But the problem is that, and I did a show on this in 2015, that's not Jesus. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard anything about it. They're going to have a big celebration down there?
Well, they're over-celebrating the fact that the world is so happy that they have this really big, large, giant statue of Jesus.
Yeah.
And if you go to the internet and look it up, it's not Jesus. They're trying to represent Jesus, but you can't make a statue to represent Jesus. You have to make Jesus. You can't say, here's a statue that signifies Jesus. That goes directly against what the scriptures tell you to not do. So be looking for that. That's a weird one. Like I said, I did a show on that 6 years ago on how crazy that is to say that that's Jesus. No, it's not Jesus. And they say, well, he's welcoming everybody with open arms. Well, Todd, you're nitpicking. Well, I'm not nitpicking. See, it's the small things that start out turning into heavy things. What was it? Well, we're just gonna have equal everybody, and then all of a sudden last year, everything exploded and lit on fire, and the media stuff's burning behind them, and that's not burning, and so it's insane. It's totally insane, and this false celebration. You'll hear more. You should hear more about it now. If it's not true, then I wasn't taken by it, but I didn't give it the 72-hour, test where I think people should wait 72 hours. One of the things I heard the other day and read, it says Jesus Christ would want us to get a vaccine. Can you believe that?
No.
They want us to get Jesus Christ. So now we have people telling us that Jesus, they know for sure, would want us to get a vaccine. Now, that right there is what gives Christians the name, the belief, listening to the story and believing it, a bad name. Because, first of all, Jesus can't talk to you. You can't talk to your grandma if she's dead. She's dead. There's no talking to the dead. You can't talk to the dead. The dead is dead, and that's why in the scriptures it tells you that you need to do these things while you're alive, because when you're dead, you can't change those things. If you could summon your grandma up when she's dead, then you could go change all the things you need to do when you're dead that you didn't do when you're alive. You can't talk to the dead. It doesn't happen. So to say that Jesus would want me to get the vaccine, there's a falsehood right there. That's what we would call falsehood. A white lie, a small lie, a very sneaky lie. There's a wave of truth to that in the sense that Jesus would want us to take care of ourselves to the best of our ability. But to say that Jesus would go for an action, he can't do that. That's not, all the actions that Jesus tells us to do is already in this, he's already said them. He can't say them again. Oops, I forgot to put in Proverbs that you gotta get the vaccine if it comes through. Thou hitherest get vaccine if thy virus come out. Insane. This last one here that I'm going to cover was about as insane. Okay, this is how the deception is really got people by the what. Right? So here's a pastor who told everybody to bury him alive so he could prove the resurrection. I'm not sure how that works. I'm just repeating the headline, and I didn't dive into the story because it was stupid. And it's time to leave the crack zone, the Christ zone, the Jesus zone, the media zone, the crack zone. Yeah, right. All right, time to go. See you later. Okay, well, I felt this a little better, crack zone this week. Crack zone, Christ zone. I got to come up with a new name. Well, anyway, the crack zone, yeah, because all crackheads are in the zone thinking that the Jesus is real, this big statue, and that he would want you to get a vaccine. And how about I think pastor's a crackhead. Maybe we should just bring that term in this ministry anyway, and just call everybody a crackhead. The world's like a big crackhead right now, anyway.
It is.
It is, yeah. If y'all don't know how people act when they're on crack, just look at the world and look at the news. It totally is insane. It doesn't make any sense. There's no sensibility to it. You look at it and go, huh? What? And you know, and like when a crackhead comes and asks you for money, you know what they want it for, but they'll lie to you, but you know it's a lie, but you still give them the money. You know, it's amazing.
Well, look at the comment that our fearless leader made. Oh, that was 4 days ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a crackhead comment if I've ever heard one. Well, why are you bringing that up again? That was 4 days ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. What? I stole your wallet 4 days ago. Why are you talking about that now? Hey, you know, I met somebody when my car broke down the other day, and I was stuck all day long in Benton Harbor. And but I met somebody who had no idea on any of this stuff that we've just talked about. He had no idea that our leader has a crackhead son, and he has no idea that our former leader had non-crackhead children. And because I was making a comment that a lot of the reasons that I voted the way I did was for the candidates' children. I thought that they were very, very well raised. You may not like their status in life, but I thought they were very well raised, very, very articulate, a little bit excitable on the junior guy. But then you go to the other side, and our leader now, and look at his children. He's a sleazebag. He's a crackhead, slimy sleazebag. That's what he is. But the media lets that go. You know, so who knows? Who knows? All right, we'll get to a little bit of the topic here. I'm going to go into this unbitter ourselves, see if we can't find some genuine truths and some simple facts. There's a lot of words that are associated with bitter and bitterness. And I can tell you firsthand and factually that bitterness and bitter has contributed greatly to deaths of people that were close to me. The bitter bug in my family is deep. It runs really deep, and it's usually personal caused issue. I mean, there's no reason to be bitter if there's no actions have been done to cause it. But some of the things that can be done in an action state for bitterness to manifest is something that's cruel or something that's harsh, something that's brutal or disturbing. These are all things that grow bitterness. And my mother was very bitter, and it was a very strong contributing factor to her health demise. She had no way to get rid of the bitterness. She just had, and she never got rid of it, ever. And so in the last couple of weeks, I've just been observing how much bitterness I see going on. And then I reflect it to me, and I think of how long I've had the bitterness towards some events and actions that were taken towards me. You know, when we have a disownership of a person, that causes and creates a lot of bitterness. But a genuine truth about that says bitterness is personal. It's a two-way bitter street. It doesn't mean that the bitterness that I have, the other person still has it, but if I have the bitterness, then the other person caused it in my mind. So it's in my mind that the bitterness is in. So I have to be the one responsible to get rid of it. They can't get rid of it. And then I think what happens is that if I get rid of my bitterness over that situation, it automatically eliminates the bitterness, period. Because if I have bitterness from an action towards me, the bitterness that this person must have in order to do these actions to cause bitterness to me, I don't think was bitterness. See, I don't know if they necessarily know that they're going to cause, they're trying to cause hurtful. They're being cruel. It's a brutal act. It's just, they're trying to disturb things. They might even try to be breaking your heart. These are all things that grow bitterness. But a simple fact about unbitter ourselves is that bitterness can bring all kinds of things to our soul, like maybe a curse. A curse. Bitterness can bring a curse if we follow the genuine truth and simple fact path. We find that it says, he shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings a curse. And this water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering will enter her. Huh? What? Bitterness is a living, breathing thing that can enter you? Yeah, I believe so. I believe bitterness is the top priority that we need to get rid of. Jealousy is the top emotional reaction thing. But bitterness, it grows inside. It manifests inside. It's not an outwardly thing yet. It will end up that way. But here's a woman that drank the bitter water that brings a curse. Well, Todd, you can't take that literally. Why? I have a little bit of beliefs in some of the words that are being said sometimes. And these genuine truths and simple facts have been around a little bit longer than that person over there on the media airwaves. I mean, these have been around for 2,000 years. Let's change the meaning of these words now because we don't like them. And for the last 2,000 years, that's how we've lived. So let's just change them because we don't like them. The genuine truth about unbitter ourselves. See, we have to unbitter ourselves. I can't unbitter you. I can do things to cause bitterness in you, which would be a very cruel and disturbing thing. But it's happening all the time. It's happening all over. But you cannot be bitter towards an object. I can't be mad at my guitars. I mean, I can be mad at my guitars, but I can't be bitter. It's not something that will manifest inside of me. The fruit of the Spirit is the opposite of bitterness. But maybe as a result of an object like maybe, i.e. crack, Cain probably could cause me a lot of bitterness, but I'm not sure that that's the word would be the exact word to describe it. I can have a lot of regrets, and I can have a lot of resentments, like a lot of anger and hurt and stupidity. I think people might have a lot of bitterness towards me because of the crack, you see. So in relation to that, but you can't have bitterness towards an object. These people could have bitterness towards me because I smoke crack. Absolutely. But a simple fact tells you that truth has become lie, and lies have become truth. Okay, Todd, right, you don't know what you're talking about, Todd. What was it, 6 years ago? Maybe 7? 2015? Maybe even 14? What did I just say one day? I just thought of something that just seemed so truthful, and I said simply that truths have become lies and lies have become truth. And I have never been attacked by family like in my life like that. I was like, what? Well, I must have hit some nerve, right? Well, what's happening today? What's happening today is very disturbing. We're trying to be informed that this truth that we've always known as truth is not, that's a lie now, see? And this new lie over here, well, that's the truth. See? And that's what's trying to get shoved down our throat. That's the deception. That's the cloak that is over the world. We can go to words of healing truth that say, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's what's going on right now. The woke world is trying to tell me that the bitter that I taste is sweet. You got it all wrong, Todd. You know, you're not open-minded enough. This is sweet. This is all sweet. And because you're saying it's bitter, it's just because you're old and stupid. Okay. Let's say that that's true. Unbitter ourselves. You have to do it yourself. Here's a genuine truth about that. Bitterness completely clogs up our natural and God-given energy flow. You don't think that's the truth? Prove me wrong. Oh, I'm not bitter, Todd. Okay. Cool. You might not be. But bitterness hides itself. It hides itself behind anger. It hides itself behind depression. It hides itself behind non-communication. So it has a lot of ways to hide and not come out. The number one thing that is destroying people from the inside is eating their souls alive. Otherwise, you wouldn't have such hysteria. It's the only thing I can think of. You know, once a fruit's bitter, there's nothing you can do. You have to let it rot and disappear. So if that be the case, then how do we unbitter ourselves? Because it seems to be that the enemy has found a way to instill bitterness into a lot of people. at least in my opinion, in my observations. So if we look at a simple fact, it says, sharpened tongues spew hate and words of bitterness like arrows. See, these are like little darts from the enemy. And they're coming at breakneck speed. Amazingly fast out there. And you can find that out if you just would stop for 3 or 4 days, get off the media BS wagon, and then go back after 4 or 5 days. Then, you know, it's just, it's a whirlwind that doesn't change. Maybe new subjects, but it's the same crap. And they've been doing this for a long time. It just seems more apparent to me now, more in my face, more blatant, like this is what you need to believe kind of crap. Okay, so if we go to words that will back that up and bring some wisdom and kindness and healing, here we go. They sharpen their tongues like swords and aim cruel words like deadly arrows. So there are people that practice saying this crap to hurt and say cruel words. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's going on. They just happen to be coming through the boob tube, the TV, the media. But they're the same darts. They're the same arrows. Unbitter ourselves because you have to do it. I can't do it for you. I can do it for me. Here's a genuine truth about that. Bitterness manifests and grows both on a physical and internal nature. I've seen bitterness destroy a person. Literally. And with that much power, I think we need to address it and identify it. And when we identify it, let's identify it for what it is, not for what we're being told it can be. Like, you know, you don't have any reason to be bitter. You're just angry. I remember that was told to me a few years ago. You're just mad, Todd. Well, yeah, I am mad, but you know. A simple fact regarding unbitter ourselves tells you that honor and dignity get lost when bitterness sets in and takes seed. See, when we have this fly that I'm going to make a lot of noise getting, nope, next time, the dignity that we have and the honor that we have or thought we had, it gets lost when we have this bitterness, because bitterness will consume those two things easily. Oh, Todd, you know, no, it's not that bad. I'm just, you know, okay, I know. Bitterness is sneaky. Bitterness sits around for a while. Bitterness sometimes takes a long time to manifest. But if we learn to recognize it, maybe we can conquer it before it manifests into a really bad, physically and internally destroying mechanism in your life. Unbitter ourselves, a genuine truth will say to you and me and everybody listening, is a weapon from the enemy to ignore, not believe, and go against God. See, bitterness is the exact opposite of what God says we have, okay? So that means that bitterness is created. It's manifested. It's meant to destroy. It's set up. It's part of the plan. And it could be an unconscious plan, but you could be, you know, stupid pawns in the game and not know it. If we go to words that support that, it says, lest you lose your honor to others and your dignity to the one who is cruel. So if we're talking about cruel behavior, that's where bitterness can come in. It can manifest from that. A simple fact about unbitter ourselves says, you can conquer bitterness, along with all forms of malice. You know, when your boss accuses you of stealing, how bitter do you think you're going to get from that? Pretty bitter. And it goes in, and if you don't deal with it and get rid of it, it will manifest and it will grow. And it will tell you lies and it will have you thinking all kinds of crap. How about if your family writes you out of life, literally? I mean, literally erases your name out of life in the family. You know, how bitter do you think that would make you? Pretty bitter, yeah. That's a fact. How about if your parents or your family call you stupid all your life, or that you're no good all your life? How bitter do you think you don't even know that you're bitter, but you get to the point where you are dealing with this and it's coming at you breakneck speed with these darts and arrows, you know, coming at you faster than you can deal with them. That's what bitterness, the bitterness will come out. You are definitely bitter. But you can conquer bitterness in all forms of malice, any type of thing. And malice that comes from the enemy doesn't come from God. Because you were accused. And just because your family disowns you, and just because your family literally writes you out of life, doesn't mean that we can't get rid of bitterness ourselves. Let's go to some really strong words, okay? You ready for this? Now listen to these words very, very carefully, because this is like an instructional sentence. And this is the kind of sentence that the mad crowd gets mad at, because you can't tell me what to do. I'm not telling you anything to do. Neither is God. He's suggesting this is what you should do. Get rid of all bitterness. Number one, right there. Get rid of all bitterness. Didn't say a little bit. Didn't say some. Didn't say anything before that. It says get rid of all bitterness. Then it says rage. Then it says anger. Then it says brawling. Then it says slander, and along with every form of malice. So all of these listings of things lead up to bitterness. Bitterness is the one. Get rid of bitterness. Number one, get rid of it. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Undo bitterness ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. The association with that is hurtful. It's intense. When you look at all the noise and the intense level, we have to look at that and say, oh, wait a minute. Why is everything so chaotic and intense? Why is there so much bitterness? That's what this is about. How about pungent? How about sharp? How about hostile? How about nasty? How about painful? How about distressing? Are those all forms and sub-words for bitterness? Absolutely. Yeah. Bitterness is the final result. Bitterness is the set-in part. It's not, it's not hanging around outside anymore. It's manifested. It's planted the seed. It has harvested. And it's coming at you. How about heartbreaking? How much bitterness do you have from having your heart broken? A lot. Yeah. How about somebody that's always provoking you, poking you, picking on you, bullying you? How bitter do you think you are towards that person? How much do you think the enemy loves that, provoking you to bitterness? How about something that's very disturbing? How about actions from people that are so disturbing? Serial killers, all kinds of crazy things. How bitter are you towards that? You're not bitter towards that? Oh, good. Good. That's a good sign. But if you have been near any of that, or even for that matter, how about if somebody is a witness to a brutal, not a witness even in live, but how about on TV? If I see a show and there's a brutal children, I mean, I'm bitter. Yeah, I want that person that did that to pay justice. Our materials are available at lulu.com. You can find us on Gab, MeWe, and YouTube. I do not go to Twitter, and I do not go to Facebook, and I never will, and I don't care to. I don't want to have anybody control me. That allows the Taliban leader of the new Afghanistan nation to spew whatever he wants to spew. But we have an American former president who can't go on there and ask questions and say things that end up being truthful, all the different things. It has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, left, right, up, down, it. It's freedom of speech. And to allow the Taliban leader kill women, suppress women, torture women, according to Sharia law, he can say anything he wants on Twitter. But a former president can't. There's something seriously, seriously wrong with that. How bitter are you towards that? Pretty bitter for me. Not anymore, but I was. And when YouTube took my video down, how bitter do you think I was on that? I was pretty bitter. Pissed me off. What do you take my video down for? The video is full of truth. I've been doing this for 19 years. Anything in audio or video, unless it has been deemed truthful, okay? May not be the truth in that event exactly at that moment, but it is truthful. There is truth in it. It's not a manifested lie. It's not done for reaction and likes and hits and all that crap. I don't care the numbers. All I care is the importance of the numbers that come. In other words, it's always been that way. A few people here and there find us, and they like what we got to say, and it helps them out. You know, when I have this much bitterness that I've had, and it's taken me this long to figure out what it was and how to get rid of it and where it came from, it's a world of difference when you understand it. And maybe you already knew, maybe not. But I know that the observations that I've had, it's just amazing how many people are just bitter about something, you know, anything. And if it's directed towards objects and things, oh, I'm bitter about my car, I hate my car. That's not what that is. Let's move past that. Let's discuss that on a different level. But the bitterness that I see, and then in Scripture, when I go and I see the powerful words of healing truth in the Bible, it says, get rid of bitterness. I think we might be onto something. Maybe. It certainly hasn't never come across my desk ever before. In all the shows that I've done, I don't recall ever seeing the importance of how much bitter grows and manifests and destroys us from the inside and the soul. And it clogs up our natural energy flow. Not only our energy flow, but it clogs up our natural visionary ability. I found that it clogs things up so much that it makes things 3 times as confusing. Because the bitterness keeps circling back. See, I'm a press secretary already. Let me circle back on that bitterness. It always comes back. And it always comes back to drive it. And I can prove it in my life, because when I have that bitterness in me, I'm bitter maybe towards somebody else. Maybe I'll lash out at my wife or something. And then I stop and I think, wait a minute. You know, she's got nothing to do with this. Why would I do that to her or to him or to whatever, in my kids? But that's what it is. It's a lashing out of the bitterness that we've had inside of us, and we don't know what it is, and we don't know how to get rid of it. And we know that we're mad and we're angry and we're hurt. And, you know, we've been provoked, and we've had all of these things go on around us, but we've never sat down and said, you know what, this is bitterness. And you know why it's so important? Because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't say, number one, get rid of all bitterness, all of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So the nice thing about that is it says that we can get rid of it. And as I said earlier, you know, we can conquer bitterness. That's a fact. And I'm here as one person to tell you that we can. And I have. And it was deep. And it was bad. And it was caused for hurt. It was meant to hurt. It was meant to destroy. It wasn't meant to help. It was meant and directed at me personally. And it worked for a while because I didn't understand what it was. I couldn't understand why it happened. But see, with bitterness, we can't understand the person causing us to be bitter because of their stupidity and their ignorance. And when they're out to be hurtful, they're not sitting down and going, well, I'm going to do this to make that guy so bitter he won't know his, you know. No. They set out to be very harsh, brutal, disturbing, provoking, heartbreaking, hurtful, intense, hostile, nasty, pain, things that have happened. They're painful. They're hurtful. They're terrible. They're nasty. And it causes a bitterness that clogs our ability to move forward. We can stay the same. We don't necessarily go backwards, okay? But bitterness will prevent healing. Bitterness prevents our body from healing. It does. And so if you're having physical problems with not getting better when you're doing things to try to help that situation, maybe check out and see if there's any bitterness that's growing and manifesting inside you that's having a time with your body, because it clogs up your mental ability. It clogs up your physical ability. It starts to internally destroy things from the inside out. And that's the hardest thing to stop. You know, if you get a sore on your skin, I can put some ointment and Band-Aid on it. I can avoid this. I can do things to maybe stop it topically. But when I've got something manifested inside, and this apparently can be that real. It can be as big a real as real is, because it says that, bitterness, get rid of it. Well, if we are told to get rid of it, that means it's real and it's there. It's not just some emotional feeling like jealousy. Jealousy is caused by an emotion. Bitterness is not caused by an emotion. Bitterness is caused by an action. Bitterness is caused by something against you, something to hurt you, something to provoke you. Jealousy, when your mate cheats on you or whatever, and now you're jealous or whatever, that's not manifested. That doesn't come from an action of hurtfulness to you. They may have gone out and cheated on you thinking that's going to hurt you, but that's not the true intent of the bitterness that comes from that action. Jealousy is an emotional reaction. Bitterness comes from something that's been hurtful and harsh and intense and hostile and nasty towards you. That's just how it goes. Okay, so let's see here if we can close this out today. And let's see here. Do we have that here? No, I don't. Really? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Well, it's been a show on unbitter ourselves. Hopefully there's been something here that's been helpful. I know that I had to kind of figure that out myself here in the last few weeks about what's going on inside of me. Some of it wasn't making any sense. So, Jesus Christ destroys Lucifer's lies. Jesus Christ will answer when you call. Jesus Christ will not disappear. Jesus Christ is our hope. Jesus Christ is glad. Jesus Christ cares deeply. Jesus Christ cannot lie. Jesus Christ is for real. Jesus Christ loves you. Jesus Christ crosses over all boundaries. And there's our famous DVC ministry waterfall. Jesus Christ leaves a trail of footprints in the sand. Jesus Christ has such a powerful Father. Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ cherishes our children. Jesus Christ provides the gateway to heaven. Jesus Christ promotes love. Jesus Christ is God's Son. Jesus Christ shows us how. Jesus Christ builds character. Jesus Christ loves it when we're married. Jesus Christ is our connection to God. Jesus Christ should be directing our lives. Jesus Christ becomes your best trusted friend. Jesus Christ was betrayed too. Jesus Christ was murdered by nailing him to a cross. Jesus Christ entices us to speak truth only. Jesus Christ does not make you weak. Jesus Christ supplies all of our needs. Jesus Christ will answer when you call. Jesus Christ is the most powerful sweet word ever spoken. Jesus Christ wants to be your Savior. Jesus Christ is wonderful. And because we are following, believing, and trusting Jesus Christ, we'll have to work on that. And because we are following, believing, listening, and trusting Jesus Christ, and everyone together is pissing Lucifer off. Yeah. I mean, one big difference between Jesus Christ and Lucifer is Jesus Christ doesn't have his own primetime TV show, right? Jesus Christ didn't fall. Jesus Christ didn't try to take people and cause mutiny. Anyway, Randy, thanks for coming to the show. Next week, let's see if we can get you on and play some more music. So you're back on the air right now, but see what we can get next time. We'll do some music, maybe Amazing Grace or some gospel.
Sure will.
All right,
yeah,
man.
Sure will. Great and timely show. I needed this. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming, man. Talk to you again. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to the show. We'll see you next time.